look at me, my life is so cool. I have all these nice pictures and stuff. And I'm like, no, really, I'm lame and I suck in life. Like, show me what's really going on in your life. Show me something deeper, because I think that's just what people want.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 57 of the Andrew Deitsch podcast. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Wednesday. I've been trying to put out this episode for like 3 days, and I'm finally going to get it done. I'm really pumped about that. Trying to record this and put it out before I go to my hot yoga class this morning. So wish me luck. But if this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for checking this podcast out. This is a place where I have extended conversations with the most fascinating people. And today, my guest is the crazy talented Macy Todd. And Macy is a singer and songwriter, and she has an amazing voice. I've actually been listening to her music for the past couple of months now, and she's cranking out some awesome stuff. I'm pretty bad at explaining what music sounds like in words, so I'm going to play you a couple of her songs. So you're in for a treat today. But on her website bio, it says that she creates lush pop music that transcends both genre and time. And I feel like that is a much more eloquent way of explaining it than I ever would have came up with. But the most common question I get is, how do I find such awesome people to be on my podcast? And truth is, every episode is different, but I wanted to share how this podcast came about, because I think it's pretty cool. So story time. So back on episode 22, I had my super famous friend Alex Guthrie on the podcast. Just saw him on a billboard yesterday. He's also playing a show with Kelly Clarkson next month. No big deal, So anyways, the day I launched his episode, I actually went to go see him in concert at Eddie's Attic in Atlanta. And I think it was around the end of June, and they had two shows back-to-back that night. So Alex was playing the late show, and so when I got there, the other show was just letting out. And when Alex saw me, he said, "Dude, you should have seen the early show. This girl, Macy Todd, just killed it." And, I was like, "Oh, man, that's awesome." And, I didn't really think much about it. But the next day, I was on Instagram stories, and you know how you can click the little location? So I clicked Eddie's Attic, like on the Instagram story, and so it brought me to everyone's stories that they had uploaded from last night at Eddie's Attic. And I saw some of the videos of Macy performing, and Alex is right. She was killing it. And, again, I didn't really think much of it, but the name stuck in my mind. And a few months later, I get this DM on Instagram from Macy Todd, and basically saying, "Hey, I'm totally digging your podcast. I'm an artist in Atlanta. Love to work with you. Here's my SoundCloud. Thanks, And normally I would have, been super excited about that anyways, but I was like extra excited because I actually knew who she was. And I already had the Alex Guthrie seal of approval that she was the real deal. So I knew I wanted to have her on the show before even listening to her music, because I knew she was awesome. But after a couple months of phone tag and scheduling, we finally got together to record, and I'm really glad that we did. I had so much fun on this episode getting to know Macy. But the even funnier thing is that Macy said she didn't discover my podcast through Alex. It was actually through Nicole from episode 39. But anyways, I just thought that was kind of cool. The universe has its ways of bringing people together, I suppose. But by the way, disclaimer, I definitely talked way too much during this podcast. Might be being a little bit too hard on myself, but I had way too much coffee beforehand, and so I was a little chatterbox. But hey, you know what? It's okay. I'm trying to be a better host, so just know that I realize it too. And I was cringing pretty hard at myself during a couple things. I'm just like, shut up, dude. Let Macy talk. But hey, you know what? I had a really fun time talking to Macy, so that's all that matters. And I think you'll still enjoy this podcast. But you guys are all in for a treat. I'm going to play you two of Macy's songs today. One right now and one at the end of the podcast. The one that I'm playing right now is actually her most popular song, according to statistics and whatever. But It's a song she released last year. It's called I've Got a Feeling. Not a cover of the Black Eyed Peas. Which, interestingly enough, we talked about the Black Eyed Peas during this podcast, which is so random. But this is a Macy Todd original. It's not by the Black Eyed Peas. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the voice of Macy Todd.
I got a feeling deep inside that you've been lying about where you've been at night. Oh, I've got a feeling, so you better learn to treat me right. And I've got a fire in my soul, burning desire that I can't control, 'cause I've got a feeling that your love is growing cold. Call my doctor, I'm in pain. Oh, I'm falling for a fool again. I've gotta get up, take my stand, find myself a better man. 'Cause you've got excuses I don't wanna hear. Baby, the truth is I should've left you last year. 'Cause I've got a feeling I won't be crying no more tears. Call my doctor, I'm in pain. Oh, I'm falling for a fool again. I've gotta get up, take my stand, find myself a better man. 'Cause I've got a feeling So tell me, baby, 'cause I've got a feeling. Call my doctor, I'm in pain. Oh, I'm falling for a fool again. I've gotta get up, take my stand, find myself a better man. 'Cause I've got a feeling, yeah, deep inside. I've got a feeling, I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling. Okay,
We're rolling. We're
Okay.
live.
we're live.
What's up, Macy?
Nothing. I'm sitting on your couch right now, and yeah.
That's true. So Macy and I just met for the first time.
Yes.
Pretty crazy. It's actually been pretty common for my podcast to meet people for the first time when we're recording, which is kind of fun.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is fun.
Yeah, because it's like an outlet where I can like find cool people that I wouldn't necessarily get to know
Yeah.
and get to know them. So it's been
Yeah.
really awesome. But give me, like, I don't want this to sound interviewy at all because I don't like that. But I guess just to kick things off, just kind of like tell people what you do, like elevator pitch, like, yo, I'm Macy, I sing, or whatever.
Okay, yo, I'm Macy, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am an artist, a music artist. So I write my music, perform it, record it, and that's how I'm trying to make a living. Note, trying. Trying right now, not really succeeding, but yeah, that's what I do.
It's hard to make a living being a musician, though.
It's very hard. Well, it's not, I mean, it's hard in some ways. In other ways, it's not hard. I think being an artist is hard to make a living in, and being a musician, I think it's a little bit, that's where it's a little bit easier to make money. But when you're trying to like sell your own art, it gets tough.
Yeah, I find that a lot of my friends that are like photographers trying to sell prints and stuff like that, it's like no one's really like buying those types of things. No. It's like they're making their money from people booking them or whatever. Exactly.
Like a lot of, whether it's like a corporate gig or, you know,
weddings.
A lot of weddings, yeah, that's a big way to make money. People ask me like, how do you actually make money? Because I have a band, and so like, if I'm making money from a gig, it doesn't ever go to me first. It goes to my band first, and then maybe I'll make something. Maybe I'll even lose money off of it. Like, it really just depends. And so they're like, well, how do you make like money to like live? I'm like, odd jobs, like literally cleaning people's houses or babysitting here and there. Or sometimes, yeah, I'll like take corporate gigs just in order to, because like music, when you do corporate gigs like that, it's actually a really good way to make a buck, because people pay a lot of money for music when they know it, when they know the music. It's really hard to start like selling your own, like I said.
Like, yeah, like a DJ for a prom is like way different than a DJ that's like trying to promote their own stuff or whatever.
What they made, yeah.
Yeah, because like, I want you to play the Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling. I want you to play like all the songs that like everyone knows, and it's like, that's not what they might not necessarily want to do, but it's a corporate gig or a paid gig, so you got to please.
And you know everybody's going to love it. So, oh my gosh, I was just talking about that song with someone. There's these people that I know from Atlanta that I don't know if you've ever heard of, like the Free or A-Town A-List, or like they do a lot of corporate gigs, and so I'm friends with a lot of the musicians that are in those bands.
Gotcha.
And I was just asking them the other day, I'm like, what is like the most annoying song that you've probably played like 500 times that you're so sick of? And they're like, I Got a Feeling was one of them. I forget what the other one was. Brown Eyed Girl was one of them.
Oh gosh.
And they're like, it sucks because like we liked those songs at the beginning. Or they said like Can't Hold Us, Macklemore. And they're like, at the beginning we loved it. And they're like, but now honestly we can't do it. And they said I Got a Feeling works every single time, no matter what.
Yeah, it's one of those stupid songs that's going to go down in history.
Well,
and
it's like
everyone, because I mean, everyone has got a feeling that tonight is going to be a good night.
Yeah,
you know, like you're starting off the night and everybody can like chime in on the song. Like everyone knows at least a few bars of the song.
Everyone knows that song. And I feel like I don't know what it is about that song too. I think it came out when how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. So maybe you were probably in high school when that song came out, but for me, I think I was in middle school. I
honestly have no idea. I couldn't put my finger on it. I just know it like came about and took everybody by storm.
It did. And I have specific memories like with that song coming on, and I'm like, so now when it comes on, I'm like, I know that happens with a lot of songs, but especially that song, for some reason, it's just like, so many memories attached to it.
Yeah, anyway. My favorite Black Eyed Peas song, because we're on this topic, is definitely the one, Where's the Love, that they did like initially, their breakout song with like Justin Timberlake or whatever, and that was the best song ever by the Black Eyed Peas. I don't know.
Where's the Love? Okay, no.
That's such a good song.
Literally, I just went to the beach this last weekend, and in the car I was listening to the Black Eyed Peas. No shame. I was listening to, I think it was Ella Funk. I think Ella Funk is the one with like My Humps on it.
Yep. Like, that was a good album. Like for real, the Black Eyed Peas, like bring back good old Black Eyed Peas. Like I will listen.
Honestly, like no judgment on any Black Eyed Peas. Like
I think they just tried to chase the money too hard, but you know what? It's okay. We forgive you, Black Eyed Peas. Just bring us some like good, just bring us some good old school Black Eyed Peas, and I'll be down.
You know, Fergie's like putting out new music.
Really?
I literally just took a dance class last night, and we danced to Fergie, but it was like her new record.
Her new stuff. Wow. Was it good?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't as good as Black Eyed Peas and old Fergie, freaking London Bridge Fergie. But, you know.
I forgot about that song.
But, you know,
that's
like,
awesome.
It's fine.
Okay, cool. So, Black Eyed Peas, we're done with you. But, I was gonna say a lot of my podcasts, I mean, there's no structure to these. Like, we kind of just let it go. But I do like to kind of start things off in the beginning by kind of sharing like how you got to be a singer and stuff, because you know, like, I'm looking at you right now.
Yeah.
I only know you from this small window. Oh, Macy's this like awesome, talented singer, songwriter, but I have no idea what 10-year-old Macy was like, or you know, anything about you. And we tend to look at people like that. Like, you look at an old guy and you're just thinking, oh, he's a grumpy old man. Or you look at you know, you look at me and you're just like, okay, this is Andrew, he's this. But all these things leading up are what actually kind of create you. So how did you go from, I don't know, you don't have to say like infant, but like going back a really long time.
When I was in the womb, I just started singing. It was weird.
Wow.
It was weird. My mom recorded it from her tummy. No, I'm just kidding.
Where were you born?
I was born in Lawrenceville, so I was literally right down the road from here.
Nice.
But my dad was a singer and performer, so he music, like, we just always had a bunch of music happening around the house, and there was always singing. Creativity was always encouraged, and so I always sang. I was always in choir, you know, from the elementary school to high school. I was always in choir. But I didn't really when I got in high school, I started, like, my freshman year, I started taking guitar lessons. And at the time, I'd been doing a lot of sports because I come from, like, a really athletic family. And by the time my freshman year was over, I wanted to do music, like, that was
your thing.
That was the thing. And it was like my
siblings?
thing. Yeah, my siblings, they didn't do music like I did. I mean, I was the only one that learned how to play. You know, I was the only one that took it seriously, even though my siblings are, like, musical.
I feel you.
Anyway, so I stopped doing sports and, like, I just wanted to do music. And then I started songwriting when I was able to, like, play a song enough. And so that was like 14, 15. And then ever since then, I mean, just have kept learning about music since, kept writing, and I keep evolving as an artist. So
that's awesome.
Sort of how,
I had like a similar thing where I learned to play Guitar Hero, and I'm totally kidding. I loved Guitar Hero, but I never played the actual guitar. I feel like such a poser. I was so good at Guitar Hero. If I would have put in the time to play Guitar Hero into the real guitar, I know I'd be good.
Yeah. Well, then you should have done that.
I totally should have, but I'm such a loser.
I feel like people who were into Guitar Hero were, like,
that happened with my friend
Hero.
Paul David, though. He got started on Guitar Hero, and then he was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I should put the time in to learn the real guitar if I'm going to spend so much time playing this game.
And did he do it?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, now he's really good. And, like, that's his thing. Like, he does music. It's really cool.
And it started from Guitar Hero?
Yeah, it really did. Like,
that's so
correct
funny.
me. Like, I think that's what started it, because I was really good friends with him. He did not play the guitar before that. Then we started playing Guitar Hero. And then he was like, I'm going to get a real guitar and try this out. And, like, that was his thing.
That makes me wonder. My brother was, like, insane at Guitar Hero. Mm-hmm. The drums on Guitar Hero, he's so freaking good. But he never did music.
The drums, I feel like, are the most that you could correlate back to a real instrument. Because you're actually doing the rhythms and, like, doing when you're really good, you're doing, like, the complex patterns. Obviously, it's a little bit different than playing with, like, a live band or something, of course. But the movements are going to be kind of the same. Like, they would translate way more than just pressing 5 buttons on the guitar neck. Yeah,
but you're still sort of, like, with the guitar here, like, the guitar, you're still sort of training your fingers.
Yeah, like Paul David and me, we would literally have to take breaks because our fingers would be, like, so sore. Like, we were like going so hard.
They should, like, I don't know if Guitar Hero is still a thing. Do they still make those?
They came out with, like, a new one that was slightly different. It was, instead of having 5 buttons that were all in a row, it was 3 buttons, but there was 2 levels. So you had to go down and up. Like, more like a real guitar, because obviously there's, like, 6 strings. That was the problem, is, like, whenever I tried to pick up a real guitar, I was good at Guitar Hero, but I could do the, like, going up and down the neck, but I couldn't do going across the neck, like, the 6 string thing. Like that was totally like weird to me, putting my finger in like weird positions.
So they should like do it so that it's it trains people to play the instrument.
There actually is a game called Rocksmith that I know one guy that did it, and it actually works. You plug in just like a normal, whatever the 3/4 jack thing into your guitar. Yeah. And then the other end is a USB port, and it plugs into your game system.
What?
And it teaches you like how to play guitar. It's really interesting. And it's got all these, originally it was supposed to be almost like Guitar Hero, but it was like, yo, this is like Guitar Hero for people that know how to play guitar. And then the second version, they made it more into a teaching tool. And so it was like, they had infomercials like, spend 6 months playing Rocksmith and you'll be able to play the classics. Like that was like the thing.
No, but seriously.
And people actually learned. Like there was a lot of cool success stories. And one of my friends, he was like, yeah, I did it. And now I can like play a few songs.
Wow.
It's very interesting.
I've been doing, so like I play acoustic. I wouldn't consider myself a guitar player at all. Like I can play enough to be able to communicate a song and write. So I started teaching myself how to play piano. And so like I've been taking online, like every day I'll take an hour's lesson online. And like what you can learn online just from YouTube is actually incredible.
It is crazy.
And it's so fun. And so that's really cool. Maybe I should take like a guitar thing.
I literally like
too.
The only thing that's preventing me from doing it is that I don't have a guitar. Like if I had a guitar, I'd totally download the game and try to play it. And that's the thing that's been stopping me, because for a while I was really like, I want to try like a new thing. I want to get better at a new thing.
Yeah.
I should do that. And then I like never bought a guitar. But the other thing is like, do I buy a really crappy guitar just to play this game, but then I'll be mad that I have a crappy guitar? Or do I shell out and buy like slightly better one, but then will I ever even learn how to play it or want to play it, and it'll just sit in the corner collecting dust? I don't know. Yeah,
you really have to be committed.
Yeah, kind of like this podcast. And
you have to buy one with an input, right?
You have to buy the cord, but it's like, it comes with the game when you buy it. And the other thing is I didn't have the right system. I think you can play it on your computer though. And that was the other thing, is my old computer is really bad, so that was holding me up to, I'm like, I don't know if my computer is like powerful enough to like play games. I don't know, but my new computer is good. So, you know what? Now, I might just have to do it.
Do it.
I will. I'm putting it out there into the world right now.
Oh my, that's bold, because now
everybody
people are going to be holding you accountable.
You need to keep me accountable. Exactly. I'm going to do it. Anyways, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But yeah, so you started playing guitar, but you didn't know how to like play piano until recently? Or you kind of just like started? Yeah, no.
I sort of like always played pieces of piano, but I didn't really understand what I was playing. Like I just knew like, oh, this is a C, this is an A, like, and but I really like writing on piano more than anything, because I can write melody a lot easier than I can on guitar, and so because I was writing on it, I was like, well, why don't I just learn how to play it? And so hopefully the goal is to eventually be able to like do gigs by myself on a piano to communicate full ideas of songs. So
yeah, because right now you have to play with a band pretty much.
Yeah, I have a band, which I like because it supports a lot of my music. But like if I want to do a gig by myself, I would honestly prefer playing my music on a keyboard rather than me playing on a guitar. I just don't consider myself a guitar player, and and every girl on the planet can play an acoustic guitar. So I just don't really find it like...
Every girl on the planet, all the girls listening to this that can't play the guitar, like, oh.
No, well, like a lot of songwriter girls, and it can really start to sound... I think like one of my fears too is being from the South and sort of having like sometimes Southern tendencies in my voice. And actually, I don't like country music per se. I like a little bit older country music, but sometimes folk Americana I'll listen to, and I think one of my favorite singers her name is Brandi Carlile. She is my favorite singer, like my vocal icon.
I've heard of her.
She's amazing. Anyway, she has like influenced me a lot vocally, honestly. So sometimes, and she's a folk Americana, like. So sometimes I have to be smart because I'm like, I'm not a country artist at all, but like I am from the South, and I do sort of like lean in that direction. But I also like am from Atlanta, so like there's like the soul Southern part of it. I don't know. So like with an acoustic guitar, it's really easy to sort of fall into like that.
I totally feel you
way.
on that. Yeah.
But the piano, I feel like, is a good way to balance it out for me, where I can have all those pieces and it not sound like, you know.
Yeah, I totally feel you. Because when I picture a girl on stage with a guitar, I'm thinking kind of like
singer songwriter Nashville.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like old Taylor Swift kind of vibes.
Oh,
like,
I love old Taylor Swift.
R.I.P. Taylor Swift, for real.
Yeah, Taylor can't come to the phone right now. No, I love Taylor Swift. Like, regardless. I love all Taylor Swifts ever.
Even current Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I haven't really listened to like a lot of her like new stuff. I really liked the first single. But
yeah, I watched, it was like trending on YouTube, and I think I watched
the music video.
I think I watched the first like 20 seconds, and I was just like,
oh, I loved the music video. I thought she's so cool.
It was the one where she's like running through alleys and stuff, and it was just like too, I don't know, it was like too edgy. It wasn't the first music video. It was the newer one where she's like,
she's like naked almost.
I didn't even get to that part, but someone told me that one.
It's weird. It's like, what?
Yeah, but you're like, why is she naked?
It reminds me of like an action movie.
Yeah.
She does a lot of that stuff lately. The like.
Yeah.
And like that was what it was with the other one.
Props to Taylor Swift, like, for going across genres and all of that. Like, I'm all for that. But I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I just get the vibes that she did it for just to be trendy or something. Like, this is what people are listening to, so I'm going to give them that. And like, there's nothing wrong with that inherently. Kind of like with the Black Eyed Peas. Like, you know, they definitely changed their sound to be more on the radio or whatever. But, I mean, my friend Alan was talking about this on our podcast. He said, like, for every like rave music and all this like crazy EDM stuff that's going on, there's going to be someone that's playing a guitar with like two strings like by themselves, you know. And like people love that music just as much as people love like this crazy hype, like overproduced club music or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it's like yin yang balance kind of thing.
Yeah.
For every extreme, there's going to be a total opposite extreme.
I totally just burped on the
It's okay.
Sorry.
I didn't hear it in real life, so
okay. It was like one of those internal ones, but I like feel like it's being picked up. Everything I'm doing, like my breathing is being picked up by this microphone.
It's good that you know that too, because other people that don't know anything about audio stuff, like they've got like, for example, the other day my friend, she had these rings on and she kept like clapping with the rings and they were dinging against each other. And I'm like, that is going to be so annoying in the podcast.
Can you edit that? I'm
not really. Like, I'm not going to. I already put it out. But it was like, I'm not going to go through every time that she made that noise and edit it out. And sometimes while she's talking and stuff, so I can't really do it.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Was she just like happy or like laughing? Like,
I don't know
when people
laugh. It was
laugh
like sometimes she was
clap?
trying to make a point, and so she was like doing that or whatever.
Oh.
I don't know. But see, that's the kind of stuff that sometimes I'm like, oh, but then sometimes I'm with the podcast, I'm cool with that stuff because then it shows that, oh, wow, like I'm listening to this real person. You know?
And they're like actually moving and burping.
That's why, exactly. So, yeah. We need more burps on this podcast. But that's why I hate listening to podcasts over Skype. Because sometimes people will do an interview over Skype with people.
Yeah.
And even if the microphone is really, really good, you can always tell by just subtle nuances of what they're saying that they're not in the same room. And it like totally kills it for me. I don't know.
Oh.
Like, for example, they're like, hold up, sorry, someone just came in the room. And that one person is saying it, but the other person isn't or something. Or if you're like, oh, here's a water, and I'm literally handing it to you, and you're like, oh, thanks. You can tell that we're in the same space or whatever. Yeah. But if we're over Skype, I can't do as much. It loses it. It totally loses it for me.
Have you ever done a Skype podcast before?
I refuse.
Oh.
I refuse because, like, I would be on someone else's podcast if they wanted me to be on it, and I was on the other end, I guess. But for my podcast, like, I really don't want to do it because I feel like it's too, I don't know. It's not real enough for me. I don't know. I just
You
don't like
need the real.
I need the real.
You need the real
I crave
deal.
the real. Because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and my favorite ones are the ones where they're in the same room.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it when they're separated. It feels too, like, corporate. Like, we're phoning in John live from the scene. John, what's going on over there?
That was pretty good voice.
I do like to do voices, but you know, I don't like that. Like when they're on the news and you have the talking heads and they're arguing against each other, you know?
Yeah, and it's sort of like a delayed response.
Yeah.
And then you're like waiting awkwardly, like, did they hear that? Are they mad? What's
And that's the other thing is when someone's in real life with you and we maybe have like a differing opinion,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a lot more respectful in person because even just like the primal nature of like, I don't want to piss this person off. Maybe they'll like attack me or something. You know what I mean? But if you're on Skype, like you don't have a problem like yelling at that person because you know they're so far away.
Yeah, and it sort of loses its...
Yeah. You lose the human touch of it.
Yeah, like, yeah, I get it. The sensitivity of being in person.
Exactly.
I think is there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your story. So you started in high school.
Yep.
Like getting more serious in the songwriting. How did you start like writing songs? Like sometimes people are like, oh, well, when you're writing a song, it has to have meaning and blah, blah, blah. Like, what does this girl know? She's just in high school or whatever. Like, what were your songs about?
I'm trying to think. I just like that was so weird. I'm trying to think what the first. I think I can like sing my first song I wrote.
Do you want to sing it?
Yeah, I can literally think. Well, no, my first song I wrote was when I was like, me and my little brother had a songwriting competition when we were like 6 or 7. And it was like, don't you see me sitting here? The music is good, but the vision isn't clear. I'm like, what? Like, that's pretty good for, like.
That's pretty good for a 6-year-old.
But no, I don't remember. Voices coming from places unknown. I don't remember I don't know what it was about. I think I was just talking about, I don't know what I first wrote about. Probably love. I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah. Because it's funny.
My first couple of songs.
I think that when you're young and you're just trying to create something, you don't have enough like life experience to like back up the stuff that you're singing, but you're just kind of like taking bits and pieces from other people's stuff that you've heard almost.
Yeah.
Like for example, when I was younger, I loved making videos on my phone that I had just gotten, like, oh, it's my first phone, so I have like a camera. And so like I would make videos, but I had nothing to like talk about. So just talk about other stuff that I'd heard people talking about or whatever.
Yeah, in high school, like I said, I'd listen to a lot of Brandi Carlile. So like a lot of my songwriting resembled her. And then I'm a huge Coldplay fan. And I was like, as a little girl, like growing up, my brothers listened to it. So that's sort of what I really got used to as far as like, it was something that was current. It wasn't what my dad was listening to necessarily. So like, I think a lot of my first songwriting things were built around like Coldplay songs and like words that they would use, or like melodies that they would use, I would sort of go towards.
I feel you. Your dad was a singer. Does he still do that?
Not really. Like he sang for a long time and then eventually got into, he works at a credit union and he lives out in Colorado and I don't see him a lot. But yeah, he used to be a singer for a long time. And then throughout my life, he sang in and out of church. But I don't think he does that anymore.
I feel you.
So.
Are your parents still together? I mean,
they are, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want to like get into that and make it awkward. But like that's another thing that's been really cool about the I keep talking about my freaking podcast, keep talking about myself, but it's like the thing that I keep thinking about all the time. And it's cool because I get to talk to people with other types of like family life and home life.
Yep.
And that fascinates me because my parents like have always been together. And so it makes for interesting, I don't know, conversation when people like have a totally different situation. But your parents are still together?
Yes.
Cool. And do they both live out in Colorado?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When did they move out there?
Probably 2.5 years ago. When I graduated high school, which I went to Collins Hill, right down the road from here. Did you go to Duluth?
I went to Norcross. I should have gone to Duluth, but I went to a private middle school, and like none of my friends were going to Duluth. So basically they had this thing called permissive transfer where like if you have good enough grades, you can go to like whatever school you kind of want to in the county, but you just have to maintain the grades.
That's so nice.
Yeah. So like since I went to a different school, I think you could do this for any school. Like for example, if you live in Gwinnett County and you wanted to go to a totally different high school, as long as you have good grades, like they'll take you.
Really?
Because like in theory, you're kind of like bettering their school. But if you have bad grades, they're like, we don't want you, stay at the school you're assigned to. Oh. But if it's like, oh, you want to come over here? Yeah, come on. Like if you got A's, yeah, we'll take you.
That's fine. Yeah, make us look better at school.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to Norcross all 4 years.
That's a good school.
Yeah, definitely a good... It taught me a lot because I went from a really small private school to a really big, very diverse high school.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a life experience for sure. Taught me a lot. But...
Nice.
So your parents, so you were born in Georgia, in Lawrenceville.
I was born in Lawrenceville, yeah.
And then did you always live there?
Yeah, I always lived there. And then my senior year, once I graduated high school, I like moved up to Wisconsin, like out of all places. Why would I go there? A lot of my extended family lives there. So I was living up there just for the summer. I don't know, I just didn't want to be in Georgia anymore. And I wanted to be around my family. So I moved up there for the summer, and literally unexpectedly we had some family stuff happen, and my parents ended up moving to Wisconsin 2 days after I moved home from Wisconsin. It was crazy. And so they lived there for 2 years, and my little brother moved up with them. He graduated high school. And then around that same time, my dad got a job in Colorado. And so both my parents just moved out to Colorado.
That's cool.
And so, yeah.
Do you go and visit them like a decent bit?
I do and don't. Like I mean, that's money that I just don't have.
I totally feel you.
But like sometimes they'll be like, yeah, we'll pay for you to come out. And like
okay.
Yeah. And they'll come to Georgia. I'm like really fortunate to be able to see my parents as much as I do. But like when I do see them, it's like 2 or 1 day kind of things, which is like this last weekend going down to the beach I was there for 36 hours exactly.
Why were you only there for that?
So, because I had a gig on Sunday, and so I was like, I went on Thursday night, and then I stayed Friday, and then I left Saturday afternoon. It was great. It's good to see my parents. Yeah. You appreciate... like I said, I'm fortunate to be able to see them as much as I do, but like even if it's a small time, you like appreciate seeing them so much more.
Yeah. It's like distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
Like if you're living with your parents all the time, sometimes it's like a drag, it's like, okay.
You don't appreciate it.
Yeah, you don't appreciate it as much. So it's like when you're separated, you appreciate the moments that you're together more.
Or even if you just like, I guess I don't understand when I like know people who live like an hour of their parents or 30 minutes of their parents or 3 hours from their parents and they never go see them. I'm like, what? Your parents, like I have to pay a lot of money, not a whole lot of money, but like a good, chunk of change.
You gotta get on a plane.
Just to go say hello to my parents. And like, I just want to shake people and be like, listen, like, see your parents right now.
Yeah, like
and take
they're
advantage
gonna die
of
or you're gonna die, and you're gonna be mad.
Yeah.
You're gonna be sad more than mad. Yeah, it's true, man. Like my friend Gabby, I just had her on the show, and like her dad passed away earlier this year, and it was like she talked about it. She's like, everyone's gonna die someday. We don't want to think about it, but it's like you've gotta like if you care about people, you got to spend time with them before they die, because it's inevitable. It's going to happen to everybody.
Well, yeah. And I was just talking about this last night, actually, like with one of my friends who lives in Indiana. We were talking about, just how we were talking about some people that had passed away from my high school recently. And like we've had 3 people pass away since we graduated. And it's crazy because she just kept saying, like, I can't believe she's actually like not alive anymore. And I said, yeah, but like that can happen to anybody right now. And I was in the car and I'm like, I could literally get hit right now head on and die. And like, it is what it is. So like, hold on to the people that you hold
Yeah.
dearest right now, and call people just to tell them you love them, and as much as possible. Don't be mad at people. Don't stay mad at people. Like, it's just pointless.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want this podcast to turn so morbid, but it's totally true though. I think about death a lot. I don't know why, but I think it's probably good. Like,
That's
it's
good.
probably
You're
good to
aware.
think about it more than like just not think about it at all and just pretend it doesn't happen. Because, like, I don't know. I always have a weird, like you said, like you could get hit by a car and like die today.
Yeah.
And that would be sad, of course, but it's like, that's a thing that could happen to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things of life. And I don't know, I always like imagine what would happen if I died like super young or whatever. Like, who would go to my funeral?
Yeah, I think everybody's asked themselves that question.
Yeah.
Like, who would really care?
Yeah.
Who would care that I don't think cares?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
And that's another thing that I really am starting to think about, like with this podcast, like putting content out, like, and with your music and stuff, like putting things out into the world is really cool because, that's something that will continue whether you're alive or not, you know, depending on how big of a,
That's
so
so
impact
cool. I've never
you
thought
make,
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another crazy thing about like vloggers and stuff, like people that make like video blogs every day of their life. Like their kids are going to be able to go back and like see what their parents are like.
Wow. I've been thinking about doing a vlog. But then I was just talking to people about it the other day, and like, so if you're a person that loves vlogs, I'm not as into them, but I've sort of just like, it's come to my mind a lot lately, and I'm like, I need to look into it more before like I make that decision, because like you have to be consistent and you have to like know, you don't even have to really know the world of it. You can kind of create your own world of it. I think that's the really cool part of it. But I was asking them, what would you want to see for a vlog? They're like, have you thought about doing a podcast? And I'm like, they're blowing up right now. And I'm like, no, I haven't thought about doing a podcast, which is a really interesting idea. I mean, like what we're doing right now, it's really cool. But like vlogging, I don't know, do you watch a lot of vloggers? Like,
I watch a few vloggers. Do you know Casey Neistat? Do you know who he is?
So is a popular vlogger, I'm assuming.
He really blew up a couple years ago because before he was just like a filmmaker. Like he even had a show on HBO. Like he was just like made it in the real filmmaking world. Like he was doing commercials for really big companies like Mercedes, and like he had a show on HBO. And then he was like, I'm going to go full time on YouTube, because he was like, when I do a show on HBO or something, I've got all these cooks in the kitchen, people telling me what I can and can't put out, people editing my stuff, people changing my stuff. When I'm doing commercials, it's all like geared towards whatever this brand wants. And if I'm on YouTube, all I have to do is I make it, I edit it, I export it, and then I click upload, and there's no middleman. So what you see is what you get. And like, I mean, that's the case with anything on YouTube, of course, but there's a lot of corporate stuff on YouTube now too. Like some of the most trending videos on YouTube are like Jimmy Kimmel talks to the kid from Stranger Things or whatever, like that's super corporate and that's just like the shift from what's going on TV to like YouTube, which makes sense. But he was making normal YouTube videos, and then one day on his birthday, he was like, I'm going to start daily vlogging every day. And like his channel just exploded.
Consistency.
Yeah.
And so that's what but I'm also, you really have to work at it. Like it's like a job. And I'm sort of in a place of where if I work at it and if I put the time in it, it's like, what do you want to put your time in most? And like I said, I'm music. That's what every day I put my time into. But like, I don't know, like how much I have to put into it. And I know that consistency is like gonna be key. So I'm like, okay, so what do I want to talk about? What do I like how do I want to make it my own?
Another thing that I think people don't think about enough is you have to like ingrain your brand and your like thing into someone's life. Like for example, like with Casey Neistat, so he was putting out a video every day. So every morning when I ate my breakfast, I was watching his new video.
Yeah.
So that was my thing. And then when he stopped daily vlogging, I was like, what do I do? Like, it was crazy. Like, I felt like a part of me had died, because also he made this really dramatic episode saying he was stopping daily vlogging. And he's like, the vlog is over. The vlog is dead.
And everybody like died.
And everyone freaked out. Like, literally, I'm a member of like Casey Neistat fan groups on Facebook and stuff. I was like super deep into it. And like people were losing their minds. And
so what are some of the things, I'm probably going to go look him up after
yeah,
this.
He's awesome.
And watch a bunch of his
He's
crap.
incredible.
What are some of the things like that he would talk about?
So his thing, I would say like his aesthetic is super practical in the sense of like, okay, his studio space, he's got like labels on everything. Whereas someone might want to like make everything super clean, like nothing is out of place, labels, blah, blah, blah. And his stuff is like hyper organized or whatever. So like everything that he does has like a purpose of why he's doing it. Or, and in his videos, a lot of time it was just showing like what he did throughout the day. And then when he sat down to talk to the camera, it was like, yo, let me be honest with you, blah, 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 talking, I don't know, just about what was going on in his life.
Right.
And so you almost felt like you were his friend. Like he, you know, took you along everywhere he went.
I love it. I need to watch him.
Yeah. And like
I already
his
feel
stuff
like his friend, and you're just telling me about it.
And he's incredible. And I mean, people are like, he's such a hipster, you know, he sells out to brands, all this stuff. But like, that's how, you know, he like makes money, is by like partnerships with brands and stuff too. But the cool thing is his daughter, oh my gosh, I can't even think of her name now. It's been too long, Casey. But his daughter, like...
he's like, the vlog is over.
He only uploads every couple days now. Like it's not...
that's
not
still a lot.
Of course, and like I freak out when one of his new videos launches, because it's not consistent. That's the thing, is before it was every day. So now it's just intermittent. Like he might go a week without making one, and then he might put one out like 3 days in a row.
Oh, I need to study him.
He's very fascinating. But anyways...
Like the fact that you would daily, like every day you eat cereal with him.
It's crazy, right?
That's
but
so
see,
cool.
But that's how I want. But the reason why I think that I made him such a part of my life is because, first of all, his content was really good. But number two, it was like I knew I could count on him to like put out something. So, and it didn't even if it was every other day,
right?
I probably wouldn't have cared as much. But at least I knew that he was putting out a lot of consistent content. I don't know, but let's take another person, for example. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Bass Nectar. Like,
yes.
Bass Nectar has like some of the most hardcore fans ever. And like almost like anytime he puts out like a new tour schedule, like his hardcore fans are gonna like focus. They're not like, he's not coming to my city, guess I'm not going. Like their whole thing is like, we're gonna travel to this place and go see him.
That's so cool.
You know what I mean?
So how did he, I mean,
Bass Nectar, like I don't really even know how he developed like such hardcore fans, but I think it's through like transparency, like being as honest as possible on social media and stuff like that. But you know, he just developed this super hardcore fan base.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost like when people are fans of Bass Nectar, it like takes over their whole life. And like anytime he puts out a thing, they're like, I've got to see him as many chances as I can get.
Yeah. I wonder, and that's sort of what I, you know, not necessarily like wanting people, their lives to revolve around myself, but like I've just recently started like post blogging on my Instagram. And so I'll like go into this, which I think sometimes is annoying when I see it on Instagram. I'm like,
long captions.
I don't want to read it, but sometimes when I do, I'm really happy that I did. And so lately I've been trying to share what's sort of been going on in my life, which is why I've kind of had a desire to vlog, because I feel like people just like listening more than they like reading it. Like that's just where we are as millennials. So anyway, but like the response that I get is really cool. Like I just did one 2 days ago, and I got literally probably 10 messages on my Instagram of people saying like, thank you for being transparent. I'm going through the same exact thing. Like comments, thank you, you know, blah, blah, blah. Wow, I'm going, like, what do you need to change in your life? And people sometimes will comment and say like, oh, I'm going through this and this is what I need to change and stuff. And I feel like music, you know, obviously is an avenue to connect with people. That's why music exists, is because people want to relate and people want to feel and be able to process their emotions. But I think people also want to know what's going on within the person. So like you saw Casey, what's his last name? Neistat. I should know that name.
Nice tat.
Nice tat. Okay. So you knew Casey and you probably admired his work from afar. And then when he started vlogging, it was like, wow, I want to know this person. And like, that's how I feel when I, will get online and I see someone that I really admired from afar. And then they let me into their life a little bit. And I'm like, wow, I just we're friends now,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel. Why I feel like a push sort of to start a vlog. I should probably stop saying it though, because if I don't do it and people listen to this, maybe people will get sad. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't care. But I don't know. I just think it's really cool. And I think it's also a cool way, like fan base, like your fan base is everything. They provide your career.
Exactly.
And like that's how especially musicians make money. These days, you don't make money by selling music anymore. You make money by touring. And I feel like, what are we doing if we're not connecting with our fans in every way possible?
Yeah.
Especially with something free like YouTube or free like Instagram, Twitter. I mean, I hate Twitter. No like beef on Twitter, but like I just don't know how to use it.
That's the problem with Twitter. I love Instagram. I want to love Snapchat.
I'm not down with Snapchat.
Why are you not down with Snapchat?
I had one for a long time and I deleted it about a year ago because first of all, oh my gosh, I bet this mic can hear what's going on in my chest right now. But anyway, I feel like Instagram, this is really sad, but like my Instagram, I'll get on it and then I will get annoyed by like looking at it and wasting time where I could be working on stuff. So every time I download my Instagram, I delete it. I'll post something or post on my story or respond to someone, then I delete it.
You delete the app from your phone?
Yes. And awesome. Literally it would be like 3 or 4 times a day I re-download it if I need to. Sometimes I'll go 2 days without downloading it. And so, but like it just is it's sort of like it will discipline me. Like won't get on it as much. But Snapchat, I had the problem of like, it's almost like you just want to always live in other people's lives. I think Instagram's the same thing, but I think Snapchat, I just wasn't down with, I just didn't like it. I don't know. I think Instagram. Did you
consume too much on it?
No, I wasn't a huge Snapchatter, but I think I just wanted things to be not as like passing. Like, because the cool thing about Instagram is like you can go back and like look at.
It's like a scrapbook.
It's like archives,
Yeah.
Oh, I get to look about a year ago what I posted and like what I wrote and stuff. And I can look at other people's profiles and see what they wrote and stuff. But Snapchat seems just very, look at my life, envy me. And I think that's another thing why I want to vlog and why I've been doing this like Instagram thing is because I sort of started to feel like, look at me, my life is so cool. I have all these nice pictures and stuff. And I'm like, no, really, I'm lame and I suck in life. And I just want to connect with people and like, let's talk about life instead of just making ourselves look. I feel like we try to look less relatable. Like we try to look and like, I feel like we're doing it wrong. I posted yesterday on my Instagram story, like, what did I say? I said, sometimes I look at Instagram and think it's not cool to look cool because I felt like I kept looking at whether it's like artists on the rise and pop or whatever it was. And I got, like sort of bothered, not by the people, because I think like people do what they got to do, and they're, they're grinding and they're doing it better than I am, obviously. So why am I mad about it? But at the same time, like, I want to be able to relate to this person and I feel like I can't relate to them. I want to so badly, and like show me what's really going on in your life. Show me something deeper, because I think that's just what people want.
I totally agree. Like transparency is something that we crave so much because when you put up the barrier of social media, it can open so many doors. Like it can let you into my life, but also whatever I choose to not post is like just as impactful as what I'm choosing to post, like, and with the vlogging thing, it definitely opens up a lot of doors because even though it is a huge commitment, like the people that are hardcore, like Fans is kind of a weird word because it comes from the word fanatic.
Yes.
Like I don't like using that word fans.
It sort of devalues people.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, like what do you call people that you don't necessarily know but are interested in what you do? You know what I mean? And it's a weird thing because we're living in a time where it's the first time that's been even possible. Before you had to have a reality show and it was like, that's totally fabricated, like, oh, cool, I feel like I know Ozzy Osbourne because I watch his family show. But it's like, it's all scripted and stuff. With like a vlog, like I said with Casey, it was him with his camera. He stayed up late to edit it and then he would post it in the morning and no one else was involved in the making or creating of it, It wasn't like he had an intern editing the stuff. That was one thing that I really loved. He would always he wouldn't even like talk about it. And people that I knew would be like, oh yeah, well, he's got like interns editing. I'm like, no, he talks about it on the vlog. He's like, sometimes he'll show him at like 4 a.m. editing the vlog from the day before. And he's got to wake up at like 8 a.m. to post it or whatever. And like, that was his thing. And I was like, so in love with that. But the point I was trying to make with Casey was he had a baby during the time that he started the vlog. And so his daughter will be able to go back and watch herself grow up and like watch what her dad was like as a parent, literally in the, like, going to the doctor. And that's the cool thing is there was a lot of integrity as far as the privacy of the baby that he started to do now that she's getting older and all this stuff. Because I don't think it's right to like, blast 4-year-olds on the internet and make them famous. That's just weird. So he does a lot of stuff where now he like won't show her face and stuff like that if she's in the vlog.
Right.
Because also like people will start to recognize her and then,
her
that
life
becomes
is just
a whole
little
thing.
bit different, yeah.
That becomes a whole thing like, oh, you're Casey's daughter, blah, 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 like at the daycare or something. Like that's weird. You don't want that for your kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, definitely, I think you should start vlogging. It'd be cool. And you said like you haven't really ingrained yourself into the world of vlogging that much. I think that's a good thing because there's way too many cookie cutter vloggers out there that copy what everyone else does, which there's no problem with being inspired by somebody.
Right.
But it's like if you're doing the exact same shots, the exact same thing as other people, then it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a little fearful of that too, is like feeling the pressure to do a certain thing because it's the norm. But I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Like, do I do a daily thing? Do I do a weekly thing? Do I do
what do you
twice
think
a week?
people would want to see? Like, if there was a daily thing, like, would they want to see, like, how you're creating music? Or would they like to more see your daily life outside of music? Or, like, what do you think people are interested in?
I just want to talk about what's going on in life and, like, what, like, my encounters with people and, like, feelings towards certain, maybe just something that happened in my day. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still figuring out, and then let people into into the moments of music but I feel like it would be nice to maybe do what Casey, I don't know what he did, whether it was like every night he would sort of like, this is what happened in my day and let me talk to you about it. And then in the morning uploads it for people to watch in the morning. Yeah,
well, he's like obsessed with storytelling. So it was like in his brain, I think he always had an idea of what was going to happen in the day and like how he could create a beginning, climax, and end.
Yeah.
And some days he would talk about it. He's like, at this point in the day, I don't really know where the story of the day is going because I've just been kind of like going through the motions, not trying to like create a story here. And that's really important because it keeps people's attention. If it's just a list of all the things you did throughout the day, it's not really that entertaining. But if you can create like suspense and you can shoot cool angles. And that was the other thing is his vlog was very cinematic. He would do like really crazy angles and stuff where a lot of vloggers are just holding a selfie stick like, okay, now we're here and cut, now we're here and we're going to do this. And like, but he would, instead of telling you what was going to go on, he would like show you instead of being like, okay, so now I'm going to skateboard to the office. All right, now I'm at the office. Like he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't say that he was going to go skateboard to the office. The next shot would just be him skateboarding to the office. And then he would get to the office and he would do the thing at the office rather than like telling you. I feel like that's what the big problem is with people on Snapchat is they're too busy like telling you what they're about to do or telling you what the thing is that they're doing rather than trying to show you it. and people are trying to brag too much, like, look at me, I'm here.
That's what I just want to stay away from, is being like, I'm so cool. I think it's really easy to fall into that. I think we all start to go into that world, and it's like, oh, you post it and it's like, well, why? Like, I don't know. I just feel like we miss the point of people being there with you. I don't know. I don't know. I have like different ideas. In my mind right now, I see it as like a thing where I would sit in front of a camera. I don't know how long how long were his videos typically?
It depends. Like some of them were like 10, 15 minutes. Some of them were like 5. You know, it just kind of depends.
Yeah. I think it would be a 5 to 10 minute thing of me sitting down to a camera and unedited. Maybe that's how I would start doing them.
Yeah.
And then eventually as it progresses, maybe I would change it up. I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. Like that was kind of the thing with this podcast. I didn't want to set my bar too high with editing. Because if I was like chopping all of the conversation up to try to make it perfect and editing all the and like all the little stuff to make it to make it perfect, I was going to put way too much pressure on myself. And like I was mentioning before, I don't like it when the things are perfect. I like to see the weird little things that didn't necessarily go right, because then it adds that human element to it.
Yeah.
And when people, a lot of YouTubers, they do the jump cut thing where they edit out every instance of silence in the video, and you'll see it, and it's creepy once you start realizing it. It's like they're and like they jump to the next sentence and delete the silence. And so it's like, dude, I get it. You're trying to put as much content into a chunk as possible,
right? Which
I can appreciate. Like some people, for example, they listen to podcasts on like 2 or 3 times the speed so that they can like, maybe 3 times the speed is way too aggressive, but sometimes people do it on like double speed because they feel, especially on educational podcasts, they're like, I can still absorb the content quicker, even though they're, you know, I want to be able to cram as much into my brain in a little time as possible, which is, I don't know, not for me, but a lot of people do that.
Yeah. Wow. We're so like we got to have it this fast. Mm-hmm. Sort of.
But like, okay, so to go back to your music, like I feel like your music is very thoughtful. You know what I mean? Like if someone's listening to your songs, it's not like I feel like a lot of times it'd be they're wanting to appreciate the lyrics and listen to it rather than like some background noise for their day or something. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
And I feel like that's a good thing because, you know, if we are being so passive with, I don't know, what we're consuming in the background, if you're putting so much effort and time and thought into your words and your song, you want people to like sit down and really appreciate it, right?
You do, but not everybody does. And I'm guilty of that too, just even listening to music, you know? Yeah. I'll listen to passively.
Of course.
You know, getting ready this morning, I listen to music passively. I don't know. Yeah, I try to be thoughtful.
But it's cool because, like you said, you know, you were getting ready this morning, you were listening to music. What music did you choose a specific thing, or did you just throw on like a Spotify playlist, or like how did you choose the music?
I chose music because I wanted something peaceful, and so I've been listening to a lot of movie scores just because I like. But like I'm trying to learn about it. It's not that I just like know of a bunch of movie scores, and like not that I'm a movie fanatic, but I really like. I've just really liked the way that they tell stories without words lately. Like I just really like it.
Fascinating.
So there's a Spotify playlist of movie scores, and so I'll just leave it on.
That's
while
cool.
I'm getting ready.
That's really interesting. I was going to say, because kind of like the Casey thing where he became like a part of my life. He was like my go-to breakfast video thing.
Right.
It's like sometimes there's music where if I'm trying to like study or something, that's my go-to. Or if I'm at the gym, like that's my go-to.
Right.
And I think that's kind of something that people don't think about as much is like creating a thing that will somehow ingrain into other people's like life somehow or something. Yeah. I don't know. Like with this podcast, I hope people are listening to this while they're driving or while they're working out or while, like, whatever it is, that thing that they do, they're like, okay, cool. Andrew is putting out content that I like to listen to when I'm doing blank or whatever.
Yeah. Or like when I get, when I go to bed at night, I never did this, but like I'm a YouTube girl now. So I'll go on YouTube and what's the first thing? Like all my suggested videos, that's like my thing now. I'm like, oh, what the heck? And some of the stuff that I'm watching, I'm like, why am I watching this? But it's like you sort of get in the routine of wanting to see and hear. I think you have a great voice. I think that's one thing like immediately people probably enjoy when they listen to your podcast is like the little raspy moments in your voice, And you'll have something to say about most things, which is really, really nice. I think just say things worthwhile.
Cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's when I first started the podcast, a lot of the episodes I was probably talking way too much because I had so many things I wanted to say, so many ideas I wanted to get out into the world. And so kudos to all of my first guests for listening to me.
No, I think
this
it's
podcast,
good.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, to be honest.
No,
I drank
it's good.
coffee before, so I'm like,
You're like amped up on coffee.
Exactly. But yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Everyone's talking about fake news and everyone's, CNN, blah, 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 Fox News, blah, blah, blah. And it's like there's no voice of the reasonable man. Like there's no voice of the moderate middle person that's discussing the pros and cons of both sides.
Yeah.
And it's like the only way that you're actually going to convey how you feel and how you think is through a conversation, right? Like,
right.
It's hard to convey your whole point of view in like a 1 minute clip or something.
Well, yeah.
Or like a 2 minute video. And it's like, that's the problem that, like I was saying earlier, like, oh, coming to you from Orlando, we're going to talk to John. And then they start yelling at each other with the talking heads on TV. It's like, that is no way to put out ideas and no way to communicate properly. Yeah. It's so disconnected. You're in these two different places on planet Earth. You're yelling at each other. You're just trying to get your 5 seconds of fame or whatever on TV.
Yeah, it's the difference between a conversation and a debate. People would just want to debate or just get their point across.
Mm-hmm. And that makes for good TV. Like, people want to see people argue.
People want to see people argue. Isn't that messed up? Look,
yeah, and like
I want to see people argue.
Yeah, and like, for example,
bad, right?
on this show, like I have a lot of people that their point of views I agree with,
right?
And so some people could argue that that's boring. It's just a bunch of people agreeing with each other for 2 hours or something. Like, that's boring.
Yeah.
But like, I think that a lot of the things that I'm trying to talk about are things that aren't being said enough. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. A lot of times I'm just talking, so.
Yeah, I do that.
And that's for good or worse. But, okay, Macy, you have to start a vlog now.
Okay.
Establish
oh
that.
My gosh.
No, but seriously, I think that vlogging would be super cool because there's something valuable about, like, making content that people can consume, like, on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Or maybe not even on a daily basis or, like, a weekly basis or whatever. Because especially with music, I've found that, it has to be like this perfect thing when you put it out because it's like there forever and this is your like body of work. And when you put something out, you can't put out a new song like every week, you just can't. Some people do, but
you can.
It might be dog shit.
Yeah. That's sort of where like I'm a little bit lost in the whole thing because, I just put out 3 singles and I mean, it took a while to do all of that, the person I was making it with, conflicts in schedule. It just wasn't, that's just the way it
just
happened.
Takes a while, yeah.
And what I'm realizing and what's sort of frustrating is that we live in like a constant, like we need to be entertained constantly. And so that's why I think consistency is so powerful these days. And I think, it's always been powerful, right? But especially now when people just want a single, you know, and people and artists, like people say, well, you know, Bruno Mars took that time or Taylor Swift took that time to make that record and it took, you know, and it was amazing. And it's like, yeah, but that's Taylor Swift and that's Bruno Mars. To someone who's a nobody, how do you get around that? How do you make yourself heard and make this, you know, big record?
Yeah.
Or spend your time on something like, and I think this is the sucky part of it, is like you spend a lot of your time on this project and it turns out, you know, really awesome, but now you've already changed as an artist. And so now you're like sort of, that's where I feel right now. I feel like I'm sort of writing out where I was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I did a podcast with my friend Cece, and that was one thing he kept talking about is he's like, he was trying to make this like epic long project, and he's like, it was taking up so much time that now I'm like pretty much scrapping this project because I've changed so much as like a person that I'm not even passionate about this thing that I was making anymore.
Isn't that sad?
Mm-hmm.
But it also shows me and gives me confidence in, you know, maybe there is something to putting out Gary Vee was talking about this, like I forget who he was talking to about it with, but he was saying they were talking about content and like what would you suggest or recommend for like an artist or like right now, and he's like, just put it out then, you know what I mean? And he's like, we just live, that's how we live these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to stay entertained, and it's almost like people, it's okay for people to see the process now. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, Gary Vee talks about that all the time. I love Gary Vee. People who listen to this podcast are always like, do you worship Gary Vee? But I've been a big fan of Gary Vee for a long time, so you can go suck it up, people. But one thing that he talks about is like documenting the process, and like it doesn't have to be perfect because it's the process. Mm-hmm. Like people want to see that stuff. Yeah. And
I think it takes pressure off, definitely. Pressure off to, like we said, like you make this huge project. I hope people like it. And you've spent all this time on it, which, I mean, hard work does pay off, right? But like when it's a year later and you spent all this time, it's like, was it worth that?
Yeah.
Or could you have, you know...
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it.
Gary Vee has a lot of interesting ideas when it comes to music, because I've heard him talking to a lot of different artists over the years. And like one thing that he talked to, I think it was like a rapper recently, he was saying like one cool thing that could be interesting that I haven't seen anyone do is like put out a song, and then you made that song like months ago, put out like your current thoughts on that song, or like add a verse to it and release that like the next week or something. Like, I don't know. It was a pretty fascinating idea, because he's like, I see people making songs that they made almost like a year ago, but then the follow-up to that song, you could add your current thoughts to it like now or something. I don't know. That was an interesting idea. Huh. But it's really hard when you have, like you said, schedule, and you have to write the song, get the people together to create the thing, send it out, like get the studio time, send it off to mastering,
right?
All that stuff. Like this whole process takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time.
But I mean, it sucks that the album is kind of like, you know, some people would be like, yeah, the album is dead. Singles are where it's at. Blah blah blah. You know, but I think that there's going to be a time and place for albums, because if you're listening to an album like as a coherent piece of music, like if it all flows together and you can listen to the album front to back and it feels like one thing, that's where the place for the album is. But it's like if you're just a singer putting out a collection of singles and calling it an album, it's like you should actually space those singles out and give people a piece of content every month or something like that to feed their thing, rather than just like chunking it all at one time and then they forget about you next month or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. It's changing a lot.
It is, yeah. It is.
Do you feel like nostalgic about that? Like, are you mad that the album is like going away?
Well, I never had necessarily like an album. It was just 3 singles. But
would you want to put out an album but feel like the pressure not to, or vice versa or anything?
Yeah, I'm mixed on it. there are new songs now and like new ideas that I have as like an album. You know, I think I'm just, I don't know. I don't know.
I feel you.
I do want to do that. I think it's a great idea to put out something, whether it be monthly or every 2 months, every 3 months. Just be consistent with it. But as far as an album goes, there was one artist, I don't remember their names. It was someone that someone else was a fan of, and they were just telling me about it. They put out one song every month for a year.
Wow.
And by the time that they put out the full record, everybody knew the record. And so like, yeah, it was like 12-song album.
Yeah.
And everybody knew every single song off of it. I think that's what Taylor Swift's doing right now.
Yeah, she's like releasing a new
singles.
music video and single every week or something crazy. But it makes sense because the news cycle moves so quick now. You can't keep people's attention for that long. And I mean, of course, you'll have your hardcore fans that know every Taylor Swift song on the new album. But if you space the songs out and give people time to know all the lyrics to this, okay, this month is this song, this week is this song, this week is this song.
Right.
You get more like dedicated people and like you create that scarcity.
Yeah.
People are like, I want more, rather than if you just give it all to them right up
And they're
front.
like, oh, I don't want it anymore.
It's kind of like flirting or something. Like if you just go to a girl like, hey, you want to marry me? Like that's never going to work ever. But if you like, you got to like take them out on, you know, the first line is like just subtle. Then you take them on a date, second date, blah, blah, blah. You have to like, the story of it is more important than like, hey, I pick you, let's get married or something. Like it's never going to work.
Yes.
If you just blast someone with an album, it's like, dude, I'm not going to listen to 12 songs of this person that I've never heard of.
But some people will. I mean,
Some people totally will.
People's attention span, I think, has a lot to do with that. We don't have the attention span.
Yeah, like I think it was Henry Rollins. I was listening to a podcast with him, and he has like he's so obsessed with music. He has this crazy speaker system, and he said that he'll sit at home with this couch just sitting in front of the speaker system, and he'll put on a record, and he has a log of all the albums that he's listened to, like front to back, and he literally just sits there and listens to an entire album and will write down his thoughts about the album and then like check it off the list. Okay, now I'm moving on to the next album. He just wants to like consume music like that. It's really interesting.
Wow.
Which goes against the grain of, I feel like, how everyone listens to music nowadays.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. I think it's the speed of everything. Like nobody's like, oh, I don't have time to just sit down and listen to a whole record and then write my thoughts. And, you know, and people are more like you said earlier, you know, you want to listen to a podcast while you're doing something because you feel like you're constantly losing time. I hate that pressure. I feel like that was what I wrote about in my Instagram post the other day is like, I had lost like close to 20 pounds because I was so anxious and worried. And I had like the thought of like, I need to be successful, you know, especially in the music business. It's like all odds are usually against you. So I think the pressure to make and create something that people will like, which should never be your motivation. And I think that's when people, myself included, like can get it wrong. And then like pressure that I'm losing time. If I don't have, one thing that I get really bothered, and another reason why I delete my Instagram is when I look at where other people are in life. And like, let's say, I forget who I found on Instagram. She was a new artist. I tried to keep myself from Googling their age because when I do that, I put so much pressure on myself. Like I'm 21 and if by 23 I'm not doing what this person did, then what am I doing? Like without realizing everybody's stories are different. And, you know, for all of those success stories, like there's also people who have, you know, it took, I don't know how old Bruno Mars is, but like he's had a very long career and I think he just put out his best record. And how old is he? You know, it's okay. Like people saw the process of it. I feel like people just need to take the pressure off because I think the pressure on people begins to like choke out the realness and the like power in their art. I think it chokes it out.
Totally. I agree 100%. Like that's kind of like what I was saying about Gary Vee. Like I've read Gary Vee's first book, and like most people don't even know what his first book is, but now he's gotten to this point where he's in everyone's face and everyone kind of like knows who this guy is now. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who he is, then okay, but a lot more people, you can feel confident saying Gary Vee said this, and a lot more people are going to know who he is. Instead of being like, have you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? He's like kind of this up and coming like business guy. Like people just kind of know who that guy is.
Yeah.
But it's because he has not stopped relentlessly putting out content and like giving people inspiration, answering questions, making videos, putting out books, like all of this stuff. It led him to where he is now. And he's like 40 something. And like now he's like in his prime, he's killing it, all this stuff. And who knows, he could get even bigger. I think he will. But, we totally tend to compare our feeling to everyone else's like highlight reel. Instagram is like number one at that,
Number one. That's why we need to, it needs to change.
I'm going to delete my Instagram.
No, don't delete your Instagram. It's such a powerful tool.
It really is.
But I've been reading, to go back on your, the Gary Vee thing, I think he would say the same thing about worry and working hard at what you're doing and not looking at other people. In fact, I think I've seen, that was how I found out about Gary Vee. Someone showed me a video about him talking about this. But I'm reading a book Dale Carnegie wrote. How to stop worrying and start living. I just started reading it, and I forget the exact quote that he's talking about, but he was saying how a couple steps a day, he basically goes through stories or how to make friends and influence people. He has that one book, right? Mm-hmm. So I just started reading this other one because I was like, I'm like a master at worry. And he talks about how there was this one person that was sick. He was had basically a life sentence because he had ulcers in his stomach from stressing so much.
Wow.
And he had lost 90 pounds. And I think he tells a million stories, but I think one of the quotes that he said, or the life motto that he said this guy lived by, or maybe it was someone before. I can't remember. The point is, the guy said, I think it was one step a day, be okay with the little steps. I think when even just me learning piano, I'm learning the basics of piano. I am on, the 10th video, the 10th 5-minute, video, and I'm going through and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Why can't I just do what this person is doing right now? And I think we just live in that, we need to be quicker. We need to be this, and this. And it's no, that is why people are miserable and why people live in anxiety and worry. You have to be okay with little steps in a day. And if I only learn this little piece of it, tomorrow I'm going to come back to it. Or that night I'm going to go to sleep thinking, I did as much as I could today, and I cannot get frustrated at myself for only being at this little place. Little baby steps every single day. I mean, still work hard at it and put time into it, but be okay with beginning stages.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, same thing. Do it again. And I just feel take the pressure off yourself to learn it fast. Yesterday I take dance classes now too, because I'm when I was younger, I danced or whatever. And I wasn't really
what kind of dancing?
That into it. Last night was a jazz class that I did. And so it was so weird because dancing for me has been such a release. And during this class, I realized there was a moment where I got so mad at myself. I don't know if you played sports when you were younger, but there's a feeling that you get when everybody else is getting something around you and you can't get it. And it's the most frustrating feeling. It's I almost felt tears welling. It's so weird. And I remember feeling that a lot when I was little, swimming. Why can't I get the time that this person has got? Or or in cheerleading when I was a tumbler, why can't I get the, back tuck at the same pace that they're getting, whatever it was, I would hold myself to the standard, get so mad. And last night I couldn't get what the rest of the class around me was doing. And I almost like got emotional and I caught myself and I was like, I feel like the 8-year-old, you know, of myself, but I actually was really appreciative of that moment because I was like, I have been living out of like, I need to get this and I'm not focusing on actually getting it in the moment. And I think last night I realized I was really like trying to get it in the moment and I allowed myself to feel frustrated and that was like annoying. But I also realized like, oh my gosh, I'm actually present in what's happening right now. I'm not just going through
that's really important.
the motions of what, I don't know.
That's super important. Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. Yesterday I went to a hot yoga class and there's this one lady that was right in front of me. And she was definitely the best person in the class. And part of me is like, like I know that I'm like stronger than this lady. Like I can like lift more than her.
Yeah.
But like she's way better than me at yoga. Like what the heck, you know? And like, you know.
This is so frustrating. I want to be the best at everything. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I want to be the best.
No, but that like that feeling like isn't a constant. It was just like a thing that kind of like hits you in
passive.
little bits. But then like there was also, you know, I also have to step back and be like, okay, Andrew, this is like the second like hot yoga class you've ever gone to. So you should probably chill out. You know, like,
yes.
You know, and that's one of the things I'm trying to seek out things that I'm not good at, like, and try to get better at them. Cause that's super important.
Yeah.
Finding things you suck at and try to learn them. But in that same vein, like Gary Vee talks about like finding your strengths and doubling down on them. He's like, I have no interest in trying to get good at things that I suck at. But I think that trying to get good at things you suck at as a form of not trying to become the best, like I suck at basketball, therefore I should go try to play basketball and get better at it. Not because I'll ever become an NBA player, because I never will.
No.
Like just because. Like that's like one thing that he talks about all the time is there's this idea being spread around because of Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers. It talks about 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours and you're an expert. You put in 10,000 hours and you become an expert in whatever thing you're doing. But it's like that's not true in the sense of, like you said, everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own pace of where they go at. Of course, it's a great rule of thumb. Like if I'm trying to be really good at video editing and I put in 10,000 hours into video editing and learning, I'm going to get really, really good at editing videos. But if I'm trying to become the next Michael Jordan, like I'm not tall enough, I don't have the physical capabilities, like I won't ever be in the NBA after 10,000 hours. I just won't. Like that's just a thing.
Yeah.
But with like, if you're approaching, I'm going to try to go get good at basketball in the sense of, okay, maybe I won't ever be in the NBA, but I do want to get better at this thing that I suck at for like mental growth and like personal growth.
Yeah.
Then I think that kind of stuff is super important, you know?
Yeah.
Because even though you might not ever be a professional dancer or anything.
No.
But that goes hand in hand with music, but it's like you still have to appreciate like, okay, realizing that you don't know everything and you're not good at everything.
Well, yeah, and that's another reason why I did it was because of music and like the performance aspect of it. Like I just thought I need to like work this. There are like so many different tools I feel like I want to do because of music that will help.
Culminate.
Yeah, like that will help me all together.
Totally.
But yeah, he's totally right. Like you can't be good at everything. So, you know, why not be really good at that one thing? I think the problem with that would just be maybe if you're just figuring out what it is exactly that you're trying to do. Like, what do you want to be the best at? Maybe figure that out first and then pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it takes playing around with stuff and like, no, I really, really dig this. So now I'm going to put like all my... And then also there's the other parts of it where like, I'm going to learn this because I want to work on like discipline in this area of my life. Like every morning I've been trying to go on walks. Like that may, you know... I'm not going to be a professional walker one day or anything, like, but like
You
it
might
just
be, Macy.
creates discipline in my life, and
Yeah.
you know,
That's super important. One thing that I tend to talk about a decent bit is the fact that I dropped out of college after my freshman year of college, and that's a whole nother story. You can probably listen to another podcast to hear that, but a lot of people, feel this pressure to like go to school and get their degree and all that kind of stuff. And what are your thoughts on that? Just because
I only went to 1 year of college.
Nice, me too. Where'd you go?
I think GGC. I was just right down the road. I actually lived about a mile from I live like a mile from that school.
Nice.
And I never really wanted to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to go for, so I was like, why would I go to a university and spend a bunch of money? It didn't make sense to me.
Good.
So I went to community college.
Were your parents like, did they have pressure on you to like go?
Nope. My parents are like super supportive, although I will say like, I have really supportive parents in the sense of they were able to financially like support me growing up, and they're able to sort of help me with this whole music thing as well, which is really amazing. Not everybody has that, so I'm really fortunate. But I don't really... College is fine if you know what you want to do with your degree, like, and if you need a degree. Like, if you're trying to be a nurse, you need to go to college. If you're trying to be a psychologist, you need to go to college. There's certain things you just need a degree for. If you're getting a degree in communications, I don't think you need to go to college. I mean, depending on what exactly you want to do, maybe. I don't know. I don't really believe in it. And that's where I was like, I want to do music. I can't see myself doing anything other than music. Why am I going to school? It doesn't make any sense. Like, unless I wanted to be a nurse, like, a teacher, that's fine. Yeah, you need to go to school for that. You need a degree. But like, I was like, this is so pointless. Yeah. And I like stressed over school anyway. Like I would just, like deadlines really, really scared me. So, and like, I just like, so my parents were really supportive and they knew that about me. I just never really, I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. Yeah. I'm just taking classes.
I think everybody's kind of like that. But that's kind of like, the point I was trying to make is like the doubling down on your strength thing. And you're saying like some people are still trying to figure that out. And some people are like, well, college is a great place to figure out what you want to do. And it's kind of like, maybe, but it's also a giant waste of time and money if you're, like still trying to figure shit out in like your third year. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't the best place to figure that out. But it's really hard to get behind the idea. Like it's people will always shit on you for like, I don't know, discouraging someone from going towards the college route because they're like, how dare you? This is a part of our system and it's a good thing to get a degree, which I agree. If you're trying to go for certain aspects and certain things, you have to. If you're trying to become a teacher, like, yeah, I want you to have a degree. Yeah. If you're trying to be my doctor, like, yeah, I want you to be accredited and all that stuff. But like, if you're just trying to do like a lot of other jobs that don't require that kind of stuff, it's like, it's just not really necessary. I was just curious because I know a lot of parents put that pressure on, and the main reason why I would say most of my friends went is because like, my parents wanted me to go and the money was there.
Because our parents needed it. Our parents needed degrees in order to do stuff. So that's not like that anymore. I do get a little bit, thinking that this is my age group's last year of school does scare me a bit. But I'm also can look at those people and look at my life and say, good for you. That's really awesome. But it's going to pay off in life if you're better with people and life experience than school experience and book experience. So that's fine. You can get a job, but who's going to get the job when they walk into the interview and they can have a conversation and a mature conversation and be a good people person, depending on the job. Who's going to get the job? The person with the degree who, didn't learn much about life and just studied what they needed to study, got a degree to be able to say they had a degree, or the person who, experienced a lot of life within that period of time without having, experiencing life outside of college, I feel like is difficult. Yeah. Just like college is difficult. I think they both have And I think especially in music, I've sort of been forced to grow up a little bit more.
Totally.
So, I don't know.
But just like how, you're like, oh, crap, like everyone that went to my high school is going to be graduating soon. Like I had that same thing because I dropped out after my first year and I was trying to do this business that ended up not working out and all this stuff. And so my biggest fear was like all my friends that I went to school with freshman year are going to be getting these awesome jobs and I'm just going to be sitting here like doing the same old thing. And you can't compare, like we've been talking about this whole time, like you can't compare other people's highlight reel to what you're actually feeling. Like you can't compare it. And, some of my friends, they've been like super successful and that's been awesome. Like I'm super happy for them. And then like, I hate to say it, but like some of them are working the same jobs they worked like in high school, like it really sucks. But,
yeah,
or a job that like you like probably could have gotten like without a degree or whatever. And, I hate having like, I don't know, I don't necessarily feel a burden of this, but I feel like it's my duty to kind of talk about this stuff because I don't think enough people are wanting to talk about it for fear of backlash. And like, there's no money behind like no one going to, like, there's no money supporting, don't go to college, but there's a lot of money on the other side because there's a lot of money to be made on the other side. So of course, and I could talk about the money trail for hours and hours and I could ramble on, but I'm not going to. The thing is like, it's sometimes hard to be that voice of, hey, explore other options because people don't want to hear it.
Yeah. But I also think like it's becoming, I think a lot of adults, their opinions are changing on it. Like my parents, they both went to school. That was a big part of their life. I mean,
yeah.
My mom never used it. She got pregnant. She got pregnant.
Yeah.
Immediately when her and my dad were together. So,
that's like my grandma. Like she's all, she tells me like, are you gonna go back to school and all this stuff? It's like, Grandma, like you never went to school and you've never even like worked a real job in your life. Like you were just a mom. Like not belittling being a mom.
No.
But it's like there are other things about it that like you don't necessarily have to do. And I don't want to shit on my grandma or anything, but like, it's just like she's living in a different like headspace time period wise. And like, I know that like this movement, I guess, of like the education bubble is gonna pop soon and all this stuff. And like, I think that we're gonna be kind of on the right side of history on this like idea. I don't know. But no, like if you're in college, like do your thing. Like I am not trying to shit on anybody's life. I don't want to like, talk down on anybody, but there are going to be people listening to this that are like in high school or whatever and that are thinking about going to college and maybe they just started and they don't really know what's going on. It's like just so that those people know that there's other people out there that are, going through the same stuff.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is just don't be lazy. Mm-hmm. Just don't be lazy. Like do your thing. Believe in what you're doing outside of it. Like just don't use it as an excuse to be lazy. Like,
like play video games in your mom's basement.
Play video games in your mom's basement and not get a job. Like that's where I just feel like now you guys are just playing like a game that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that. I'm glad you brought that up because sometimes I forget about that aspect of it because I'm not the type of person that's just going to be going around being lazy. Like right now, I'm feeling all this like non-existent pressure to put out podcasts. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not making any money from it yet. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm putting all this time and effort into creating this thing that hasn't necessarily paid off yet, and I don't expect it to for a little while. But I like have this like need to like create something or do something extra or whatever. Right. And some people just like don't have that. But I did want to say, like, regardless of what you're trying to do, I feel like you need to figure out what is uniquely special about like yourself and like double down on that. We kind of been talking about this the whole time. It's like what differentiates like your music from like someone else's music or what differentiates your thing from someone else's thing. Yeah. Because everyone's different.
Yeah. And I think everybody's trying to figure that out. I think that comes with just time and work. But But I don't know. I've been asking myself that same question. Like, what
is that thing that differentiates you?
Well, or just what it is, not necessarily that I'm looking at it like, what is it that makes me different? But like, or just what is it that is unique to me that I feel like I need to say, that I need to communicate with people? What is that? And I think I become more aware of it just the harder I work and the more I work. So
I feel that. I feel like this is a good place. We've talked about a lot of stuff. Is there anything else that you wanted to like promote or like talk about or anything?
Check out my new single and my music video. This is the first music video I've done. I'm pretty proud of it. And I have a show at Vinyl in Atlanta on December 15th with a girl named Susie Jones, who's from Noonan, Georgia, but she lives currently in Nashville.
Cool.
So we're co-headlining that
Sweet
show. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's it.
And I was going to say, I'm probably, what I've done on a lot of podcasts with musicians, I've like played a song before and played a song like after so people can like hear it.
Yeah.
So people probably, if that's cool, I'll play your songs.
Yeah.
Sweet. So people already have listened to one song and I'm going to play you another song in a minute. But yeah, so people will be able to hear your music and stuff if they want to see you. Where's the best place to like find your stuff? Like on social media, like find all your shows and whatever? Yeah,
if you go on my social media or my website shows where and you can like subscribe to my email list on my Facebook, Instagram. I pretty much keep all of everything updated on those platforms, but I'm most active on Instagram, if I'm just being honest. Even
if it's deleted.
Even if it's deleted, I always re-download it. It's just this discipline thing.
It's so funny. I like that.
It's pretty crazy. I get embarrassed low-key to tell people about it because I'm like, wow, I'm crazy. But like, no, it just helps me stay disciplined. But you can message me on Instagram. Like, I'm pretty good about talking with people on Instagram.
Good.
Better than I am Facebook, if I'm just being honest. So yeah.
And we can follow your vlog. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. But no, actually, if you subscribe to my YouTube page, like you can totally, and that's something, when my vlogs go up, yeah, you'll be notified. And that's something that I've at my YouTube, that, like I said earlier, I want to start a vlog. I really want to get my YouTube page started. So
cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, sweet. Any other last things you want to say? Final closing message? I don't know. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. Do you? Boo, boo. Just kidding. That was so extra of me. Thank you for listening. And yeah. Cool. Thanks for having me. Awesome. Thanks, Macy. Well, see you later, everybody. Bye. Boom. There we go, everybody. Another episode in the books. I want to thank Macy again for being on the show, for being such a fun guest. She's got a show at the Vinyl here in Atlanta on December 15th, like she said. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me there. I don't know. I think that'd be fun. I don't know. Hit me up. Let's go. Let's go to the concert. Yeah. Like she mentioned, she's got a really awesome music video out for her new single, Bump That, which is a very, very fun song. I was originally going to play that song here in just a second, but I think I'm going to go make you go watch the music video for that one, because the music video is really good, and I'm going to play you a different one instead. So make sure you go watch her music video for Bump That. I will make sure to bump that link in the show notes. And if you enjoyed that episode with Macy and you enjoy hearing from other musicians, then I've got a feeling. See what I did there? Hopefully that wasn't too bad, you know? Get it? Because her song, I've got a feeling. Anyways, I've got a feeling that you will enjoy listening to episode 22 with my friend Alex Guthrie that I already bragged about at the top of this podcast. We had an awesome conversation. Still one of my favorite podcasts to date, so go check that episode out. Also, I mentioned the podcast that I did with my friend CC Scott, which was episode 16, I believe. And he is also a very, very talented musician. He's put out a bunch of new music since we actually recorded that episode with his current project called Season. And it's really awesome stuff. Like I said, I think if you enjoyed this episode, you'll more than likely enjoy those two episodes. So that was episode 22 and episode 16. Go check those out if you're into musicians and what they have to say. But episode 58 is coming up next with my friend Katia Sarmiento. She is a brilliant online business manager. She helps 6- and 7-figure digital small businesses scale up with the right systems and operations. She's a pro with technology and systems. So basically she takes businesses that are stuck, maybe they're a little messy, and they're having a hard time growing because they're trying to fix all their problems in the meantime, and she helps them scale up and systematize their businesses, which ultimately means more profit, more time, and more freedom for her clients. And she is absolutely amazing. During that episode, she shared how she went from being a broke college student to becoming a super, super successful digital entrepreneur. She's also been a guest on like 20 other podcasts already, and radio shows and all that. So needless to say that this was an awesome podcast. If you're into digital entrepreneurship, then you definitely don't want to miss that episode. But if you want to support the podcast, which I hope you do, you made it to the end here, you've listened this far, it would really, really, really mean a lot to me if you go into iTunes or the Apple Podcast app if you're listening to this on an iPhone and just rate 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever you feel like I deserve. But right now I have a 5-star rating, so I'd like to keep that. But yeah, and if you want to follow me, you can go to my website, andrewdeitsch.com. That's Andrew, DEITSCH.com. You can find links to all my social media accounts. But that's pretty much it, everybody. So, all right. Now it is time, once again, to listen to the beautiful voice of Miss Macy Todd. So please enjoy her song, In Like With You, that she released a little while ago. And this happens to be my favorite song of hers. I'm not kidding. I really enjoyed the song. So, yeah, that's it. And I'll see you later, everybody.
Call me up in the morning, rain or shine, 'cause I'm thinking about you day and night. You my medicine to make it right. 1 dose, 2 dose, 3 dose. Ha! You my boy and I'm your lady bee. So let me sing, sing, sing this carefully. Real sweet, leave you with a nasty sting. I know, you know what I mean. You are way off my shoulders. You got me on, yeah, cloud 9. Oh, 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 yeah. You keep the weight off my shoulders. Makes me wanna fly. My number 1 and reason number 2 is for everything you do in every single way. Oh, 300 reasons why you're my kind of guy, and I love the things you do. Oh, I think I'm in love with you. Every single girl knows a guy like that. I said, boy, tell me all the things I wanna hear. A little sugar for my listening ear. I'll kiss you till I can hear. I'm not saying go, please don't, oh, oh. 'Cause I'm the girl that never leaves your dreams. Got you making wishes over me. Click, click, yeah, baby, I'll be there. Yellow road, we'll go, no place like home. You are weight off my shoulders. You got me on cloud 9. Oh, 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 yeah. You keep the weight but I might. I need to know your category to let you near my territory. Take an inventory, the allegory of your story. Cause the breath I breathe is life given to me by the Father, the Son, Holy Ghost. Can I preach? You might be tall, mighty and strong, and as lovely as the day is long. You might be handsome, you might be rich, but you might be a no good son of a bad woman. But I'm a strong woman, yeah. Cause I like you a lot, but I'm not in love. Oh, I like you a lot, but I'm not in love. Oh, I like you a lot, but I'm not in love. I like you a lot, but I'm not in love. You're my number one, and reason number two is for everything you do, oh, in every single way. Yeah, 300 reasons why you're my kind of guy, and I love the things you do. Oh, I think I'm in love with one. Reason number two is for everything you do, oh, in every single way. 300 reasons why you're my kind of guy, and I love the things you do. Oh, I think I'm in love with you. Think I'm in love. Think I'm in love. Whoa, I think I'm in love with you. Think I'm in love. Think I'm in love. Oh, I think I'm in love with.
I totally just burped on the sorry.
I didn't hear it in real life, so
Okay.